So how do past relationships and childhood experiences affect the way people approach current relationships? And I think we've touched on that already. Is there anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah. Um, People don't give it as much awareness as I think um, they can to benefit themselves. The the way that I look at a person is, like I said, I think we're divine benevolent beings in a human body, which means that we have this higher level of consciousness and then we have our body, right? And I'll explain that in a little more detail. If you've ever caught your brain racing where your mind's just out of control and you're like, why is my mind just not shutting down? You ever notice, like, how is it that you're watching your own mind? What part of
That's like
yourself?
me 4 nights a week.
Yeah. So literally your consciousness is going to your mind and to your body like, dude, you need to chill out, right? So
I don't do
so
drugs anymore.
but your body has its own consciousness. Why? Because it's programmed for survival, right?
Yeah.
So the brain is a part of the central nervous system. And so every single experience that we have in life, like you said, wisdom is what did you say? Experiences with
Experience plus
pain.
pain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So the body literally, the nervous system literally imprints these painful experiences into our nervous system so that when we come into contact with something that's similar again on any level, right? And I'm talking like all the senses, smelling, seeing, touching, hearing, even our intuition. If something gets triggered that's reminiscent of a previous relationship that didn't feel safe or made us feel bad, guess what's going to happen? It's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
pop up in our current relationship, right? Even if that person's not doing the same thing that someone else had done. And the fucked up part is that whatever age you were at when that trauma happened, like say you were 6 and your sister made you just feel like crap about something, right? And now your partner brings up something similar on that content, you get triggered. Most people revert back to whatever the stupid 6-year-old coping mechanism was. And that's why you're like, why are you acting like a child right now?
Oh, no, I've seen that a lot, yeah.
Right? It's really common because that coping mechanism was established at a young age in your nervous system. So literally, it overrides your current level of maturity and consciousness, right? So when you
So how do you
acknowledge,
change that?
huh?
How do you change that? How do you get past it?
Awareness, right? There's there's different spiritual components that I do, and I think part of it is simply acknowledging, okay, there was a part of me that was really hurt by that, clearly, for
Yeah.
me to hold on to it, right? So acknowledging it and being like, yeah, I'm allowed to be mad that my sister hurt me when I was 6 years old, but then
Yeah.
I have to also acknowledge that my partner is not my sister, right? And I'm
Right.
no longer 6. And then there's this conscious decision to do it differently. But
Yeah.
that's where it goes back to where you were asking about it, emotional vulnerability and intimacy. When you have a partner that's able to go, hey, Justin, like, are you realizing that like you're feeling a little bit off at the moment? And then you're able to say, yeah, I do feel like I just really, really pissed me off and I don't know why. There aren't many partners that have the awareness to have that conversation, right?
It's like,
So
the people it's like a married couple who are arguing, and they're like, "What are we arguing about?" "I don't know."
exactly,
We're
right?
just we're just this is what we do. No, and the reason why I asked because I had that epiphany, right? I figured it out that you have to recognize it first, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for years, my mother would tell me, "Oh, well, it's because you have this wound that, you have this issue with your father." And I'm like, I never knew the guy. Like, not until I was almost an adult. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know how I have no there's no reference point for him to be there long enough for me to have an issue with, unless that's what it is. It's like the issue was that he just wasn't there,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
don't I, I've never felt there's a big hole in my psyche or soul because of that. I've never I never did hate him or anything like that. I wasn't, I never was like, oh, that guy. I mean, I didn't have those things. I was just like, this is the way it is. Here's how it is on the ground. I thought that was normal for everybody. I think the awareness comes from, as far as I can tell, that you have to be searching for it, right? You have to go, there's got to be something else to this. What am I missing? And that's what I did. I'm like, what? I was like, okay, what am I missing? What am I missing? And I started to search. And as far as that's concerned, I forget, I came up with an answer and it came up again and again and again and again. And I was like, it wasn't the dad thing. That wasn't the issue. It was the, the thing that I was, as a kid, I had to be an adult, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you grow when you become an adult and you look back on that, you're like, kids shouldn't have to be adults,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
then you see as an adult all these kids having to deal with that. See, that hurts me. That hurts my soul when I see a kid who's carrying the weight of the whole family on his shoulders or her shoulders, whatever. And you see some kid who's doing their best to try to keep the whole thing from falling apart. That makes me want to cry. It would have been that root cause for a lot of all this stuff for me. And that gets me emotional. But I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe that's what it was,
Yeah.
but I still got stuff to do, like I got work to do. I got people I got to go take care of. I have clients that I got to serve. It's like I got I have a son to raise and my daughter. That's why I brought it up because I was like, I didn't even know. I that and it was some workbook that I had and it was like started asking questions and I was like, okay, and this stuff came up and I was like, and then I go to the next page and it comes up again and I'm like, I'm starting to see a pattern here. That's the thing. That's the root cause of all the stuff that kind of branched off and went sideways in my life. It came from there. So I'll go there and deal with it, right? But I didn't know until I knew. This is how I know that I'm not completely a narcissist because I'll still ask myself, am I on the right track here? I'll ask people that I care about that care about me and that I care about them. And I'm like, am I going crazy or, you know,
Well,
let
I
me
can
know.
tell you right now, Justin, you are not a narcissist. And people throw that word around
Oh, it
and
means nothing now.
drives me insane sometimes because I'm like, guys, that means you've never met one. Because
Yeah,
when you meet one,
you'll know.
you know,
Yeah.
and you are not one. And I don't
Yeah.
even think you have
Well,
narcissistic tendencies, just so you know.
I have maybe 2, but I know what they are, and I try to keep them in check.
Yeah. All right.
But on the balance though, the
Yeah.
Dunning-Kruger scale, it's like that's how I know I'm in the right spot because I'm at least asking the question. Because the person who just confounds me the most are dummies that think they're smart, you know? And but it's like they're there. We have to deal with them. So you're just like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
I'll just be nice to you and end this interaction as quickly as possible because I got other stuff to do, buddy. Like, yeah, you're right. You're right. That's my go-to. It's like, you're right. But yeah, you're right.
Okay.
So sticking with this theme of relationships and whatnot, and I think we've taken some deep dives here. But what are some of the biggest challenges maintaining long-term relationship? How can couples keep the spark alive over the years? Is that
You
something that
know,
you've come across yet?
I
Or
think, yeah, I mean, I think we all experience it. Again, if we're looking at all types of relationships, it's not just unique to intimate relationships, right? Um,
yeah,
that yeah, that there's a time and season and that things ebb and flow. It's very real. Um, so I think part of it is accepting the fact that there are going to be times that are more exciting than others, and there are going to be times that suck more than others. Um, but if you're constantly checking in with each other, right, and you're keeping tabs, that's one thing. Another huge one is keeping your relationship fun, right? Like that seems to fall out of relationships faster than anything else. All the things that people did to have fun and to connect and to enjoy each other, they're just like, we just don't do it anymore. Well, why not? When's the last time you guys laughed together? Right? When's the last time like you were silly? It just seems to go away. And that is
yeah,
gonna kill any relationship really fast. Um,
Well, hold on. Let me why do you think that is? Because, I think anybody that's been in a long-term relationship, or if you know anybody that's been in them, you see that pattern kinda play out.
mhm.
But why do you think that is?
I think it's intentionality, right? If when we're starting to date someone or get to know someone, we want to show them who we are, what we like. We want to connect. We want to like get to that place where the person wants us, right? And
Mhm.
so there is, I think, some of that once we have the person, now what? Right? Like sex
Yeah.
is great for a while, right? It's exciting. Like there's the flirty comments but then it's like people forget that that is still needed, right? It doesn't just go away. And I think what I was going to say the next part was, and this ties in, is that we assume that we know our partner. And guess what? People change and they grow. And like the favorite food that they had last year is not their favorite food this year. And their favorite
No,
TV show last year is not the same one this year. And
mine is
they
still
have,
sushi.
they might like boxers now and they used to like briefs. You know what I mean? Like, you don't
Well, that
know.
depends. Look, if you're going to the gym and squatting like you should, then you're gonna have to get bigger pants and bigger stuff to wear because your legs are gonna get bigger.
Right? And those things are going to change. But we get so caught up in the cycle of life and just getting stuff done. And especially when you get kids, right? Like you've got kids, and next thing you know, they're mom this and dad that, and they're knocking on the door when the door is locked, and you're like, what the fuck? Right?
Yeah.
So there's a marriage family therapist, last name's Dougherty, but he talks about like marriage is literally, or relationships are literally like getting in a boat, right? If you get in the boat in the Mississippi and you're intentionally, using your oars to get somewhere, you're going to be successful. If you get in that boat and you just drop the oars and you go, you're going to end up on some bank in some place that you didn't even want to be, right? Relationships have to be intentional. And I think a big part of that is like setting rituals with each other. Do we sit down and we talk like once or twice a day? Do we send each other text messages when we cross our mind? Do I smack my partner's butt because I'm like, yeah, right? I just wanted to, like you
I
keep
do.
good, right? That's what you want. That's what you want. And so when you're not doing that anymore, and how many times, and I'm sure you've heard this with people before, it's like, it's just not, I don't know, something's just missing. And it's like, well, what do you want to do to change it? Well, I don't know, but I'm afraid if I do that, then he's going to reject me, or she's going to reject me, or they're not going to feel the same way, or maybe it's just me. And it's like, well, the only way you're going to know is by one, introducing the idea, or two, doing things differently, right? So I think fun is huge, and intentionality is the other massive piece.